I don't even remember how I started it off last time, so we'll just go from here. This is So You Want to Start a Business. This is episode 2. Now we have Josh Barnett, who is here to tell me about like life and everything. Basically what So You Want to Start a Business is about is trying to figure out people and help people with businesses, because a lot of people don't get the opportunity to hear the stories and what's behind like the driving factor for a lot of businesses, especially in Cache Valley, especially in Utah in general. So Josh, lots of people know you, lots of people know your name, but like they don't know your story. So tell me a little bit about like what you do and like what got you started in insurance.
Okay, that's a good question.
Perfect.
So for me, I guess how I got started in insurance is I actually did door-to-door sales.
Nice.
When I was in college.
Cool.
Which is not, it's not rare, I guess. A lot of guys from Utah go out of state, go to other places, and are doing. So for me, I was in college. I was out in Minnesota.
Nice.
And yeah, so I'm out there, and I just made it a habit, honestly, of when I go into someone's house and they have a big house, I was like, oh, what do you do?
Right. Well, yeah, of course. Then you ask the question, and then you get the conversation started.
And originally I was doing it just to build rapport and be nice and get the sale.
Yeah.
But I found out that in Minnesota, I kept running into a lot of people that lived in really nice homes. Mm-hmm. They were home during the day, and they weren't stressed out. Like, they weren't, like, panicked or, like, freaking out. They just seemed like to be chill. And I was like, there's a common theme. And guess what they all did?
Insurance?
They did insurance.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was like, there's a common denominator here.
Yeah.
So, like, I should look into this insurance gig. So I did, and I came back from summer sales thing, and I started looking into insurance. And short answer is I started interviewing with a bunch of insurance companies, and AmFam, American Family Insurance, was a good fit for me. So I joined them.
Nice.
This is back in 2005. And so I worked for another agent for a whole year, learning the ins and outs of how to be successful in insurance and how to quote and close people, blah, blah, blah. Position came up in Logan, Utah.
Nice.
And I'm such a nerd. I was like, I didn't know a lot of people lived here.
Right. It's like, how many people live here? 20?
Yeah.
32?
I honestly thought Logan was like Albertsons on 4th North. That's we stopped there to get snacks on the way to Bear Lake.
Yep.
I didn't know people lived here. I didn't know there was even a university here.
Really?
I didn't know. But when I was considering moving, my wife and I hey, should we move to Logan? And I'd ask people, and a lot of people said like, oh my gosh, Logan is so amazing.
It's so nice.
Yeah.
Right. It really is.
So we did it.
Cool.
And we freaking love it. We love Cache Valley.
That's awesome. So I want to go back to your little point that you had about like paying attention to what other people were doing and taking the time to actually like focus on what those people were doing. Have you always been like really observant about that? I mean, is that something that goes back to like your childhood? Because obviously paying attention to those kinds of things. Okay, so A plus B equals home all day long, and not being stressed.
Yes. So for me, my parents got divorced when I was really young, like 5th grade, and I saw my parents struggle financially,
right.
And I thought, man, that's really tough. And learning how to sell and the whole door-to-door sales thing was a big game changer for me,
right?
Because I learned the more people you talk to, the more happy you are, the more hands you shake, the more money you make.
Yep,
that was a biggie for me.
Yeah,
that I get to be in control of my own income. So learning that as a door-to-door sales guy, as a college-age kid, that was a huge game changer for me. But also, when I started to do my own thing, insurance is nice because for any business, so I guess advice for people that are starting their own business, how can you find something that's residual? So residual is you sell something one time, and they keep
coming back.
For it. They keep coming back.
Yep.
Insurance is nice because it's required by the law.
Yeah, and so it's like you sell it and people have to have it.
Yes, yes. So if you can find something to sell that it's not that far-fetched out there, like what are people already succeeding at? So some advice I give to maybe entrepreneurs is like, if your idea is so far-fetched it's out there and no one's doing it, there may be some risk.
Right.
Because no one else is doing that.
Right.
So find an industry where people in that industry are generally doing well. If people in the industry, like if you're like, hey, I want to be a school teacher, interview 10 school teachers.
Yeah.
School teachers are awesome. I love school teachers. My kids all have school teachers.
And that's one thing I totally agree. I think that, the teachers are obviously like the key to the future. And so it's just really cool to be able to see what the school teachers are doing. But I think it is really important to get out there and make sure that you are interviewing the people to be able to know what it takes.
Yes.
Because I think back and growing up, I always thought, maybe I'll teach school or something. And growing up, I'm like, you know what? This just is not for me. I cannot teach kids.
Well, because you got to go down that lane, that avenue of like, okay, what do? Like, well, you're with kids all day long, and the pay isn't that great. And so just have your eyes open going into that.
Right.
That, like, this is what it's going to be.
Right.
I've seen a lot of college-age kids that think they want to be a dentist or a doctor, and then, like, you should job shadow someone.
Absolutely.
At the beginning to make sure you even want to spend 8 hours a day people's teeth.
Right.
Or whatever.
With people's teeth, exactly. No, I think it's really important that people prioritize their happiness, obviously, over everything. And so I think that taking the time to study, taking the time to be able to figure out and job shadow and see, okay, is this really something that's going to make me happy, or is it just like a money thing that's like, oh yeah, the money's great? Because like sometimes the give and the take when it comes to the money versus the happiness is not worth it. I mean, if you're making lower dollars but you're happy, I feel like that's like way more worth it than not making as much money and being miserable every day.
So there is a reality to that. And I remember back to the college days of doing door-to-door sales, one year I sold alarms. And for me personally, yes, I made more money, but it was not as fun.
It's not.
It's a high pressure. I hated my life. Me personally, I didn't like it. You really have to. And that's when I learned that it doesn't matter if you're making money, but if you're not happy, then it's
not worth it, right?
Really, and I thought that's just something they say, but I was like, oh no, that's.
But it really is.
No, it really.
It's crazy because there's so many people that don't think about that, and everybody just thinks of like the end game. It's like, oh yeah, well this is a nice job. I can make a ton of money doing it, and yeah, money's great. I mean, more money is always great, but I think that people need to be making sure that they're prioritizing that, happy.
True. So here's a fun little diagram.
Yay, diagrams.
It wasn't me that invented it, but other people have done it. But when people are asking me for advice, like, hey, Josh, what should I do? How do I find, my dream job? What if I want to start a business?
Right.
I start with number one. I was like, hey, what are you good at?
Right.
So number one, what are you good at? Because if you're good at that, people will pay you well. No matter what.
Right.
So number one, what are you good at? Number two is, what do you enjoy? Because just because you're good at something
doesn't mean you enjoy it.
Doesn't mean you enjoy it.
Right.
However, if you ever watched American Idol, there's people that enjoy singing.
Yeah, but they're just not good at it. And they're not at all.
And no one has ever told them that.
No.
Until they're on national television.
Which is sad.
Yes.
Really. It's very sad to get in that position.
So find something not just that you're good at, you're freakishly really good. You excel naturally in this thing. Number two, what do you thoroughly enjoy? And number three, I put what pays well.
Yes.
Because some people are good at something, they enjoy it, but there's not a market for that thing or that skill set or whatever. So you find what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, what pays well.
And you get that little middle ground.
You find that, get out of your way.
It's a sweet spot.
It is a sweet spot. So that's what I would encourage entrepreneurs to do is find something you're good at, find something you enjoy, find something that pays well. For me personally, I wanted to find something, I guess, that was safe. I didn't want to try something that's new, but find something that's safe, like insurance. For me, insurance isn't sexy or exciting. It's boring, but I kind of try to make it fun.
Right.
But going back to the school teacher thing, example is if you're wanting to start a business, interview 10 people and find out what they're all making. That's a good basis. If money is important to you, find out what other people, if you want to be a school teacher, find out where they live and how much money they make. Not that that's a bad thing, but you need to know going into it. They're like, hey, this is what you're going to make. And just know that as an entrepreneur, that's what you need to expect.
Yeah.
Or if you want to do some other business, something like real estate. Realtors can make good money, but it's feast or famine sometimes.
Yeah.
So you just need to know. So just whatever industry you're going into, interview other people so you can know going into it what to expect. I think if people actually really did that, I think that would save a lot of
headache,
turmoil, to go into it with their eyes open.
Right. Well, and I agree. I think a lot of people also need to have the expectation that like you're going to have to work, but you're going to have to work hard. Like this isn't just a oh yeah, well, I can go in, I can go do whatever I want to, you know, my business will just massively succeed overnight. Like if you're an entrepreneur, you need to make sure that you are working and you are like putting your nose to the grindstone every single day and like busting butt, because if it's something that you're passionate about and you want to make it work, that's what you got to do.
True. And I guess I'll jump into my story a little bit more for insurance. So when I moved up to Cache Valley, we moved up here, I think it was in 2005. Mm-hmm. I didn't know anybody.
Right.
My family's not from here. My friends aren't from here. And that's a challenge because insurance in the financial services world or in this kind of industry, it seems like you build off of your friends and your family and your network, which was very hard.
Yeah.
Because I didn't grow up here. I didn't have my elementary friends or my high school friends or my church friends or my college friends, like zero market. However, we were able to build, at our peak, we were the third largest insurance agency in Utah, in Logan, Utah.
That's crazy.
So how do we do that? I guess number one thing that I would encourage anybody to do is you need to market yourself. Mm-hmm. Some people do it too safe, and they're like, oh, I'm going to make it just professional and quiet. And I think we were going to talk about this on the phone.
Yeah.
Is that when you advertise, I see it with loan officers or realtors or even insurance agents.
Yep.
The company will only market themselves. Mm-hmm. They're never going to market you.
Yep.
So for me, I didn't want to just be the most well-known insurance agent with American Family.
Right.
I wanted to be the most well-known insurance agent. The best
period.
Period. Like in Cache Valley, but like, hey, but people miss that mark. They think, oh, when I think of ABC company, think of me. Like, no. I want people, when they think of insurance, they think of Josh.
Yep.
So my quick story of how I got my silly slogan, it started at Weber State. Mm-hmm. When I was at Weber State, ran for a student body office, and college kids don't care about voting.
No.
They don't care about politics. Anyways, so I had my slogan. It was, gosh darn it, vote Josh Barnett. Uh-huh. And somebody said, Josh, you got to have these flyers to hand out to people. So I got bright colored flyers with my picture on there with my slogan. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that was my whole thing. Like, that's what politicians do in the run. Picture, slogan, face everywhere.
Yep.
But college kids don't care about a piece of paper that has your name
right.
on
It's
there.
Like, oh, great, thanks. Yeah.
So what you had to do is you have to have value on it.
Yep.
So at the time, I was working at a Brazilian restaurant, which is expensive to go to Brazilian restaurants.
Yeah, it is.
You want to take a girl on a date or whatever. So I got a coupon on the back of it.
Nice.
It was buy one, get one free, but still.
Right.
That's like $50 for two people or $25.
Yeah.
So that little trick of having a coupon on the back of my flyer, all of a sudden it's worth $25.
Yep.
And all the kids kept it. And the funny thing is when I was campaigning for my position, the guy that ran against me, he got 400 votes. Mm-hmm. And I got over 1,600 votes.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy. 4
times the amount of people voted for him than me.
Yeah.
And they did a big article in the paper because no one had ever won by that much, like that large of a landslide. And I think at Weber State, no one had ever got that many votes.
Yeah.
So how did it work? Because
marketing.
I had my name. Yes, it was totally marketing. So you had to get my name with my silly slogan, my picture on there, and a reason to hold on to the flyer. Yep. So I say that because I think a lot of times business owners don't do what I just did. Yep. They don't put their face on anything.
Yep.
They hand out business cards. No one cares about your business card.
No. Nobody cares about it.
No.
At all.
No one will ever call you with your business card. The only purpose of your business card is to hand it to somebody so that you have a reason.
Be a paperweight.
There you go. But if you hand out the true purpose of a business card is to hand out a business card to them.
Yep.
And then get their name and phone number back so that you have a natural reason, like, hey, let me get your number so I can follow up with you.
Yeah.
That's the whole purpose. But going back to the flyer, people need to know who you are, what you do, and where you do it.
Yep.
So that's why brings part number 2, why I wrapped my snowmobile trailer and parked on Main Street. because the slogan thing, I thought, hey, I'm new to Cache Valley. I don't know anybody. No one knows me. How can I bridge that gap?
Yep.
So I took my marketing myself in my college days, put a picture of myself, my silly slogan, I replaced it, gosh darn it, vote Josh Barnett, with gosh darn it, call Josh Barnett. And so we've done that. We've been doing parades and putting flyers everywhere for, 13 years. And I hear all the time that I'm one of the most well-known insurance agents.
Because of the phrase?
Because of the phrase. Yeah, it's a common household term. And whether people like me or not, they know who I am, what I do, and where I do it.
Yep. And that's one of the things that I really can appreciate. I want to sit and talk about this for a minute because it's important to market yourself. It's important to be investing in yourself because like you said, the company's not necessarily going to do it. But the thing that people are not paying attention to, because you go back to your flyers from when you were in college, because you had yourself, you had your slogan, and you provided value to those people. And that's the thing that's the most important, because people only think about, okay, here's my name, here's my slogan, this is what I do, but what value are you really providing to your audience? Because that goes right back into the marketing of whatever business you end up going into, because you as a product, you as a brand is one of the most important things that you can actually be branding, you can be investing in, because nobody else is going to invest in that.
No, that's true.
So obviously you found success with that. You've also found like a ton of success throughout like all other avenues from what I've seen at least and from what I've heard. What's like your funnest, thing that you're like diving into right now?
So honestly, right now I've been doing insurance for 15 years now. I've been dabbling in the real estate world.
Nice.
So I really, really enjoy real estate. Again, for me, I like the safe things.
Right.
No matter what happens in the economy, why I do insurance, my pitch on why people should do insurance is when you buy a car, what does the bank ask for?
Insurance.
Proof of insurance.
Always.
And then when you go to register it with the state of Utah at the DMV, what do they ask for?
Insurance.
Proof of insurance.
Yep.
When the cop pulls you over, what's one of the things he asks for?
Insurance.
So again, this is boring, but the thing is, it is job security.
Right.
No matter what happens in the economy for the next 100 years, guess what?
Yep.
People have to buy car insurance.
Yeah.
Or house insurance.
Right.
So that's a biggie for me. So again, I like to play in the safe world that everyone has to have. Same thing is with real estate. If you own a fourplex, or a duplex, or a couple of fourplexes. No matter what happens in the economy, I don't care who the president of the United States is.
People still need houses.
People need somewhere to sleep.
People need to live there.
Yeah, they need to live somewhere.
Right.
And some people are like, it's so scary, it's so unsafe. And I was, the crash is going to happen again. And I was like, no, the crash in 2008 was only because people were lying about their income.
Right.
And buying homes they couldn't afford.
Right.
Like buying a conservative apartment, like a small complex or a fourplex, whatever, as long as you're smart with who you're renting to, and you're doing background checks and making sure that they can afford it, I think owning real estate is one of the safest investments out there.
Right.
Stock market scares me because there's guys I don't know, or gals, in some other state playing around with numbers on a computer, and tomorrow you could wake up and lose everything.
Yeah.
So I like real estate because similar to insurance, it's predictable.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of real estate right now.
Which is good. I mean, I think real estate's a really cool thing. I haven't really looked into it investment-wise. I know my boyfriend, he looks into it a lot with investments and being able to make some money that way. So when did you start looking into real estate? When did you start really kind of dabbling in using that as an income?
So going back to the door-to-door sales days, honestly, my first summer, so I was 21 when I bought my first house. 22. That summer I turned 22. And I came home from my summer, had some cash, and I bought a house near the university. This is down in Ogden. And had my friends move in with me.
Yeah.
So I had enough. If you have enough friends move in with you, they'll pay your mortgage and then some. And you get to live for free.
Then you bring in some income.
You bring in some income. So that's what I did. And then after that, a couple years later, got married. My wife and I didn't kick out the guys out of there. That's already established rental property.
Well, yeah, why not?
So we bought a different house because that house kept paying for itself.
Yeah.
So I wish somebody would have sat me down and said, Josh, don't ever sell these things.
Yep.
Just keep buying more and more and more and just turn them into rental properties. And that's honestly something that a couple years ago I had a chance encounter with a guy here in Cache Valley, actually, that totally changed the game for Josh.
Really?
Yeah. So I was trying to buy a commercial property, and it wasn't working out. And then I ended up talking to a gentleman that has lots of rental properties, like hundreds, like a couple hundred rental properties.
That's cool.
So I'm talking to him, and I was like, hey, somebody said you own a bunch of rental properties. He said, yeah. And I said, so if you were me and you were starting over, what would you do? He said, well, you won't do it. And I was like, no,
tell me,
no,
like
tell
right
me.
now.
Like, yeah, I want to know what you'd do. He's like, okay, you're not going to do it. I said, yeah, I will. He said, okay, buy a house every year. I said, every year? He said, yes, every year. Buy a house every year for the rest of your life. And they give me 4 reasons why you need to do it. I got to write this down so I don't forget. So
that's fair.
So he said, number 1, why you should buy rental properties. Number 1 is all you pay is the down payment. So you scrounge up $15,000, $20,000 and you buy a house. All you pay is a down payment, and then what the tenants, they pay your mortgage
everything
for
else.
it. And then guess what? Within 15, 20 years, whatever, you have a house that you own free and clear that you didn't pay for. The tenants paid for it. So I was like, yeah, that's
right.
That's kind of genius.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that's number 1. Number 2 is cash flow. If you buy it right, it can cash flow. So people, kind of like my first one, not only were the tenants paying for it,
they're bringing in a little extra
there's
cash
a
money.
little bit of extra cash flow on top of that. So that's huge. Okay. Number 3 is depreciation. So when you are a business owner, so people that are watching this, if your business becomes successful and you want to have tax write-offs, the legal way, whatever.
Yeah,
and,
the legal way is very important way to do it.
Owning real estate, you can buy it and you can depreciate it. So then you have tax write-offs. Number 4 would be appreciation. It goes in value. So simple thing, you buy a house, you put $15,000 down. Let's say you buy a house for $100,000, or maybe $200,000, more realistic. You buy a house for $200,000. Today, in 10 to 15 years, it will double in value.
Dang.
So going back to his whole thing, like he's telling me all these things, and I was like, okay, yeah, that totally makes sense.
Right.
Buy a rental property, all you pay is a deposit, have a tenant move in, then they pay your payment.
Right.
It will double in value between 10 to 15 years, and then after that, you could sell.
Yeah.
Or just hold on to it. Anyways, after summarizing all this stuff in this little talk, I said, why did you decide to do this? Like, how'd you even get started in all this jazz? And he got like all quiet, and he's like, you know what? God's not making any more land, but he keeps sending his children down to earth. Nice old man. And I was like, that's deep. But it's true.
Right.
People need somewhere to sleep and live, and he's not making any more land. So there's always going to be a demand for somewhere to sleep and somewhere to live and somewhere to raise babies and make babies and all that jazz. So buy rental properties.
Yeah.
Buy and hold. So that little story was a biggie for me, and I started buying rental properties.
Nice.
Quite a bit more after that story and those 4 little points there.
Well, that's really nice. Do you read?
Yes.
Who's like your biggest influence when it comes to reading? Because I don't read very often. I should read. I just don't.
Different authors. I've read a ton of books on wealth, like Think and Grow Rich, or Millionaire Next Door, or The Richest Man in Babylon. So various different people. It depends on what I'm studying. A big fan of Zig Ziglar for sales, entrepreneurship. So those that are out studying. Some of the books that I encourage people that are in sales or starting out is honestly How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Yes,
I have read that one.
Yeah, see, that's
which is impressive.
Yeah, that's a good one. Think and Grow Rich is a really good one too.
Is that the one from, what's his name, Napoleon Hill?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have that one. I have it downloaded. I don't know if it's considered, I consume them more so than anything because I listen to them when I drive because I have like a 30-minute drive into work every morning.
Nice.
And so when I drive in, I listen to them, but I need to listen to it some more. I finished Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which was another one, which I really liked, but yeah.
It's just getting your mind thinking about that mentality. Another one for business owners this was one of the first books I read in college. It's Who Moved My Cheese?
Okay.
And it's you just gotta read it. It's a simple read. It's a
nice.
good read, but it's basically 4 mice that are in a maze, and they're just used to going and getting cheese, and then eventually the cheese isn't there, so they have to put on their running shoes and put forth effort to go solve the problem and figure it out.
That's cool.
And it's again a very simple, but it's a simple read, and it just gets your mind thinking on like, oh, life's changing. Am I going to sit here and complain?
And just keep doing the same thing,
right?
Yeah,
it's not here, and let's keep coming back here because the cheese has always been here. Or am I going to evolve? Because you think about the businesses that are no longer in business, like Kinko's, Blockbuster.
Yeah. And you think about those people because it's like they were offered to buy like Netflix. I can't remember who it was that was offered to buy Netflix, and they laughed. And it's like you are laughing now because you guys went out of business. Like,
Yep, business is changing, and we were kind of talking about that a little bit too on just Cache Valley. Think of the big box stores in Cache Valley that are no longer here, that closed down. Like companies that are evolving. I have friends in here that have brick and mortar businesses that they sell here in town, but they started selling things online to adapt. And their online sales, they're making 50 times more online than they are their brick and mortar stores.
It's amazing. I think that that book sounds like one that I really need to go check out. But honestly, it's something that I think more people need to be doing is they need to be digging in their own brains and figuring out how to change their situation rather than like you were saying, sit down and just complain. Because there's so many people that just sit down and they just complain. And obviously here we are complaining about the people complaining. But, it's like there is so much that you can do and so much that you are capable of doing to be able to change your own situation just by changing your mentality and moving around that way.
Very, very true. I guess I'd throw in a couple of advice for those that are out there that are starting a business. The number one reason why businesses are failing is there's not enough sales.
Right.
And one of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make is they think they're going to start a business and they put up their sign and they sit and they twirl
and
their
they
thumbs.
just twiddle. Yep.
Yeah, and they just wait like, oh, people are going to come.
Yep.
Because I'm from here, my friends are here, my family's here, my cousin's here, my neighbors, and they'll all support me. Guess what? That's not going to happen. And people wonder why their businesses fail. Why do so many businesses fail? That's the number one reason is there's not enough sales.
Yep.
So one thing that we did that helped me succeed and grow so fast is I wasn't sitting on my butt waiting for people to come to me.
Nope.
I was calling them. So one strategy I would suggest is I like stories, and this is kind of
stories are good. I love stories.
Stories are good. So I remember having this idea. Remember, have you ever seen around Easter time when cities will get a whole bunch of kids together and they have all these Easter eggs out there.
And you do like an Easter egg hunt type thing. Yeah.
Okay. So imagine, this is going to sound weird, but imagine some kid being above average, like, this is going to be weird to say, but like.
Bring it on.
Just.
We like weird.
Okay. Imagine some kid that paid other kids, say, hey, I'll give you $1 if you go out and pick all your eggs and you give it to me. And this kid finds 5 friends, gives them $5, and then says, hey, I want you to get at least 20 eggs. You give them all to me. And on top of that, too, imagine this kid developing a strategy. We're not going to do these eggs right here up front.
We're going to go further.
To the back and work our way back away. So this one kid that now has 5 friends, and they all just start at the very back, and they work their way. How many eggs is that kid going to have? A crap load. Well, like So in business, you have to do that exact same thing because one person, there's only so many eggs that you can do.
Yep.
So number one is you got to think outside the box.
Yep.
Start at the back, work your way forward. Number two, you need to have more people helping you because there's only so many eggs you can get. And in the business world, whether it's insurance, whether it's real estate, selling cars, whatever it is, you need to duplicate yourself and have multiple people helping you get eggs or make money or sell products or services or whatever it is. A lot of business owners don't want to think that way.
No. Well, it's true. They really don't. I think what you're getting at is marketing. You know, you look back at it and you think about it because how many people right now are marketing and you market on Instagram and you market by reaching out to influencers and you reach out to those influencers and you say, hey, boost my business. And then people reach out to the influencers, they boost your business, essentially doing that same thing that the 5 kids, you go out, you go grab all of these eggs and you bring it back to me. I'll give you $25 or something. Yeah. Boost my business. We'll talk about it. And that's the kind of thing that a lot of people are, I think, skipping over right now. And they're just thinking, sitting back, twiddling their thumbs, thinking, oh, well, business will come to me. No, you have to promote it yourself. You have to market it. You have to make people around you aware of it. And you have to, I'm not saying snake oil salesman them by any means, but you have to hype them up about whatever your product is. You have to treat them well because the people that are going to be around you are going to be your biggest advocates to be able to promote your business onto their people.
Yep. No, that's very true. And the people, this little analogy of the Easter egg.
This is like my favorite analogy I've ever heard in my life.
And the funny thing was, this isn't from a book.
No.
This is Josh.
This is just right now.
This is right now in my head. But that's one thing that I did too. So one of the very first things that I did that I would encourage other people to do is the very first thing, like, hey, Josh, what should be your first thing you should do? You should hire a couple of really good salespeople.
Yeah.
That are proven, that are motivated, that are excited, that are driven, that are sold on whatever product or service you're selling, whatever problem you're solving, they need to be sold on it. Yeah. And pay them well, but they need to be incentivized. So I guess another mistake people do is they think, well, if I want the salesperson to be motivated, I need to give them a huge salary.
No, don't give them a huge salary.
Hey, why not? Because that's a huge mistake.
Because then you have to end up going in, and that's the thing that makes me like so infuriated, because you see these people with these big salaries and you're thinking, okay, well, they're going to go and they're going to be motivated. No, they're motivated to just sit down and be. This is something I cannot understand, and it's something that will never make any sense in my own brain. I don't understand people just sitting back, because this is what happens. You sit back, you have this salary, and then you're fine with just being in the zone of mediocrity. I don't understand that. You know, if you're just going to do something to be mediocre, then sure, yeah, get a big salary for sales. But if you want your people to do well, you give them a low salary, and then it pushes them and it motivates them to make more money.
Highly incentivize people. There's a saying, I've heard it, that if you give a salesperson a guaranteed salary, you're guaranteed to get excuses. Because they're not incentivized to find new deals and close deals, because you've given them a guaranteed salary, and I've seen it. For years.
I believe that. I can't believe all of this is something that, I mean, I do myself. Everybody does it. Really, you come up with excuses, and you come up with excuses for why you can't, or why you shouldn't, or why it's a bad idea. You know, and sometimes they're educated. Sometimes you think through them, and sometimes they make sense. But most of the time, it just comes back. It's an excuse. That's all it is an excuse.
So but the other thing too is you want to demotivate a salesman. Two things. Number one, either give him or her too much money, so it's a guarantee. They're not incentivized to do it. Or number two, jack around with their money, make them promises, and then under-deliver. Or give them an unrealistic goal they're no longer motivated. They're now demotivated because the goal that you've given them is unrealistic, is unattainable. So now they're like, well, screw you. You know what? This isn't even... I'm not even... So finding that perfect balance of giving them some kind of base, but giving them a commission so they participate in the success of closing a deal, finding deals, closing deals, and then goals. Salespeople are driven by goals. They like to close deals and having an incentive. Another thing too that I would encourage startup business owners is your team. When we started our door-to-door sales team, we would take our sales team on a cruise.
Nice.
And it was a blast. Like, it's fun.
Yeah.
We do it every single year.
That's fun.
And I remember someone saying, like, when I was studying about incentivizing salespeople, if you can't just give them cash.
No.
Cash is practical. Guess what happens when you give most people cash as an incentive?
It goes out the window, it goes to bills, and then that's all it goes. You blow it on bills, stuff, or you put it on bills, but you got to give them experience.
They use it for practical things, but you give them an experience.
And they remember that.
They go and they're experiencing this exotic, cool place, and they're like, this is freaking awesome. And they tell their friends, like, hey, I'm going on a cruise. Why are you going on a cruise? I earned it. How'd you earn it? Because I'm a bad
This is what I did.
Like,
right.
I'm awesome.
Right.
Yeah. And then it's like, now there's that sexiness of
like,
I'm
and
going
you get the confidence from it too, and rewarding people with confidence is something that you just can't put a monetary value on. If you reward people's confidence, then it ends up boosting them and it makes them feel better, obviously, and then they are driven to do more anyway.
Yes, no, that's true. And if you are in an organization that can exponentially grow and have more and more people, having a happy salesperson,
so important.
That's excited
Priority
about what they're
one.
doing. Yeah, and telling other people about, like, hey, I'm going on a trip. Oh, what'd you go on a trip? Oh, I qualified for. Oh, what do you do? What do you work for? And like, hey, you should come work with us because next year we're going to go on this place, and you should come with us because
it'd be fun.
Yeah. So no one enjoys their job. No one enjoys it. So if you can create it to where people are almost bragging about where they work and what they do and why you should come work for me because it's awesome and I get rewarded. Like, that's now exciting.
Absolutely.
And that's hard to create that culture. Another thing too, talking about the culture thing, is that's a biggie. Yeah. Nowadays it's a big thing for me, whether it's my insurance office or my door-to-door sales company. You can't train personality.
No, absolutely not. It's born into you.
Yeah. I can show how to do certain things, but you can't train it. No. Like either they're naturally optimistic, they're naturally fun, like you.
Thank you.
This high energy.
Thank you.
Yes. But you can't teach that.
Right.
Some people, they're just pessimistic and ornery and just like you have one cancer in an office or an environment or a company, it will destroy everything. Like, it will take everything down.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important. I mean, for those people that, maybe you are more prone to be on the narcissistic or the pessimistic side of things, it's so important to train your own brain. It's so important to sit down and be within your own mind and train it, because I know that there are times I will get into the most negative headspaces and I have to sit down and breathe. And, it's something that it's a what is it? A learned trait, a learned thing. It becomes like a condition. There was a podcast I was listening to once upon a time. I can't remember who it was that I was listening to, but it was one of the most. It just stuck with me so much, and it's been something that has been okay, so you don't want this to become a character of yourself. You can visit this sad, bummy, I hate everything, but you can't choose to live here, because as soon as you choose to live here, you're making this switch. And that's just been my own, I don't know, personal stuff that I've seen.
And another example that I've shared with my employees is, imagine when you're driving over here to my office. Imagine if you had your foot on the gas and you had your hands on the steering wheel. What would have happened if you would have kept your foot on the gas but let go of the steering wheel?
Yeah, it moves around.
It moves around, but eventually you would crash if you weren't holding on the steering wheel. And so it is in our day-to-day lives. Yeah. If we go through the motions and we keep going and our foot's on the gas, but we're not controlling our thoughts and our mind, then guess what? You're going to accidentally crash mentally. Yep. And you hit a rut and you're like, oh, this sucks. My day sucks. My life sucks. And you take a 20-minute bad phone call and you milk it an entire day.
For an entire day, exactly.
Because you didn't control your brain, you didn't control your mind, and so you're going to have heartache, you're going to have challenges as a business owner, especially starting up. Right. But that cheesy analogy of I need to keep my hands on the steering wheel and control the thoughts that come in my head, because it is a mental game. There's cute little memes that, as an entrepreneur, yeah, I'm on top of the world. I hate myself. Yay, it's so exciting. Oh, I should quit.
Oh, look, here's my next break. Yeah. Just kidding. We're going to go bankrupt.
Yeah. And that's what being an entrepreneur is. It is that up and down, up and down, up and down. And you got to keep your hands on the steering wheel or you will crash and then it won't work out. So controlling controlling your brain, controlling your thoughts.
Really controls your entire life,
Yeah,
which
really.
is one of the biggest things that, like, I've had to start in the mornings. I'll have to get up and I have to, like, the first 30 minutes of my day, I will sit down, I will drink a cup of coffee, and I will, like, breathe in the good so that I can make the impact for the rest of my morning and the rest of my entire day. That's been my biggest priority for the last, I don't know, seriously, since the beginning of the year. So
No, that's huge. One other, I guess, pointer for startup peeps is I would encourage hardcore to find people that can send you leads.
Yeah.
And then send them leads.
Right.
Let me illustrate in a story real quick. As an insurance agent, we get a lot of our referrals from loan officers.
Right.
And I remember 15 years ago when I was starting out this, I remember there's this loan officer who called me up. I think it was my first month in Cache Valley. And then all these meetings to go to, like, talk to loan officers and find loan officers and send you referrals and you send them referrals and vice versa. This guy called me up for a quote, and we start talking, and I was like, dude, we need to send each other business.
Yeah.
I'm going to start sending you business. So we go to lunch, and he said, Josh, tell you what, if you send me a loan, you send me a referral loan that they close, I'll switch over to you, my personal insurance, and I'll start sending you people business. So 3 things I did. Number 1 is I started telling everybody I talked to, like, hey, do you know this, loan
Human.
officer X? Yeah, do you know him? Hey, you should start calling him. I did that for an entire month. Came back a month later, like, hey, have you closed a loan yet? He's like, nope, no one's called. So I was like, crap, I was name dropping you
All the time
for an entire month, and no one called. Like, okay, that's dumb. Okay, month 2. I said, okay, give me a bunch of business cards. I'm going to start handing out your business cards like candy.
Right.
Month 2, I think I handed out well over 70 business cards in an entire month.
Dang.
Came back into month 2, asked him, hey, did you close your loan? Guess what he said? No. So I was like, okay, screw this. I'm going to, like, finally help him close a deal, whatever. So here's what I started doing. I would just set appointments for him. So I was like, hey, are you open to having my friend talk to you about getting a loan? They said yes. I said, hey, okay, can he call you tomorrow between 2 to 4 o'clock? They said, sure. Guess what happened in month 3? I think he closed 2 loans because I was setting people appointments.
Yeah.
I was setting appointments for him, and I was giving him an opportunity to contact them.
Yeah.
A lot of people suck at giving referrals.
Oh, yeah.
Like they like, oh, I hand out my business card. Like, well, hey,
okay, great. You gave the business card, but again,
but no one's going to call off of that.
Right.
Like, hey,
what value is being provided in that exact same
value.
thing?
There is no value. So I gave a referral yesterday.
Yeah.
And I did it the right way. I told the customer, like, hey, I have someone that's looking for XYZ. Are you okay? Are you okay if I have this person contact you? The consumer said yes. I call my professional friend and said, hey, here's this person. They know you're calling. Here's their phone number.
Call between this time and this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did. And the ball is in motion. That one silly little story took me 3 months to figure out.
Yeah.
But that one thing is one of the most powerful things I did to brand myself as a successful insurance agent in Logan, Utah, because Logan is a very tight-knit community.
It really is.
And the loan officers or realtors, whatever, like, they all, a lot of times, they send business to friends that they grew up with, playing baseball with, and doing sports and playing basketball, whatever, and just going to college with.
Right.
But here's the thing. Their friends suck at sending each other a referral. They just think because you know me.
You just will.
You should send me referrals. And all of a sudden this Josh comes along. I'm not from here. They don't know me. But I start saying, hey, can I send you referrals? And they're like, well, yeah.
Well, of course. Why not?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
And then I do. Yeah. And then they start meeting with people and they close them. Guess what? They ditch their friend that they've known since elementary. And guess who they start sending referrals to? Me. Because now I'm a person of value. Yep. And that one lesson alone, if that's the only thing that people take away from this whole thing is like, wow, become a person of value. Yep. Start sending referrals so that my peers, when they start making money, guess what? They will return the favor.
Right.
Because people don't want your business networks, like they don't want donuts.
No.
They want deals.
Yep.
They want to close deals. So when you can help them close deals,
Yep.
they will return that because they don't want that faucet of leads and referrals to dry up. So send people deals.
Yep.
Find people that can send you referrals and then send them referrals and establish a true relationship, not some bogus like fake thing or anyways, make it real, make it legit. Send them referrals. That's been a huge lesson I've learned that's helped me grow my business.
That's awesome. So what is the if you have one piece of advice that you can give to somebody that is starting a business or starting into the entrepreneurship realm of things? Point number one, the only one piece of advice that you would give to them.
Number one, honestly, would be find someone that's killing it in that industry and mentor from them.
Yeah.
Whether that's work for them for a year. So whatever industry, even if you work for low wages, that's what I did. I took a pay cut to work for one of the top 10 insurance agents in the state of Utah.
Yeah.
And in an entire year, I got a PhD in how to sell insurance.
Yep.
I took a pay cut. But the knowledge that I gained from this individual completely changed my life. I was able to take that knowledge of working for him, even though it was less money, to come to Logan and duplicate everything I learned. And had I just jumped into Logan without that year, I would have failed. I would not be living here. We would not be having this conversation. I wouldn't live in Logan. I would have failed. Yeah. Because there's a successful mentor has learned successes that you don't know. They've learned failures they don't know. So that's the number one thing I would do is whatever industry you're in, find someone, guy or gal, that is killing it and mentor from them. And honestly, I would say in your journey of the next 30 years, if you could give up 1 year to work for them, there's lessons that you will learn from them, from their victories, but also from their mistakes or other people's mistakes that you can't learn anywhere else. That 1 year, Josh, but I want to start it now. I want to make money now. Yes, but
patience doesn't hurt.
there you go. And the lessons you will learn in that first year, it may be slower at first because maybe you'll make less, but it'll
launch you for the rest of your entire career. So yes. I agree with you on that. Josh, where can people find you social media wise or get in contact with you?
Good questions. I'm only on Facebook.
Nice.
I'm
okay,
not
great.
On all the other stuff. So, Josh Barnett. I think just Josh Barnett.
Josh Barnett? Perfect.
Not the UFC fighter.
No.
He's slightly taller than I am.
Oh, nice.
And he's ripped. So
good.
That's pretty much it. Or for local people, I'm here on Main Street, Logan, Utah. American Family Insurance.
Perfect. Awesome. Josh, thank you so much for your time, my friend.
Thank you.